SEC baseball.
So yeah, he brings a lot to the game, and he's right here.
Right now!
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Is everybody clear on the targeting rule? I'm just asking. Are we clear? Everybody understand? You got it, I got, like, we know, right? We know what targeting is. We know why it is, and we're just going to throw them out of the game, right? We're clear? We're all clear? Targeting. My foot. The targeting rule is broken with a capital B. Let's talk about it now. Welcome into the show on this Tuesday, 2 for Tuesday, 2 shows here, post-weekend. Of course, now this will be the first reaction show. For Ole Miss fans, it's Reaction Tuesday. For State fans, we had Reaction Monday. But it's Reaction Tuesday for Ole Miss fans. And I will be honest with you. I watched, a better part of I watched the first half. And then I started recording at halftime last night. I came in to the Farm Bureau studio, Farm Bureau Insurance, with the home team and started recording the Better Than Average podcast. And by the time I got done with that, I went down to finish watching the game with the homecoming queen, and she was asleep on the couch. She was, okay, she might not have wanted me to tell you that. I just think it was such a blowout, even though it wasn't like 40-0 at halftime, whatever it was, 20-0 at halftime. It just felt like a blowout, right? Like one team had no chance and the other team was just going to do whatever kind of it wanted to do is what it felt like at that point in the game. I think she got bored with it and went to sleep. So when I saw that, I was like, come on, let's go to bed. And so that was it. I didn't see how Louisville put up points in the second half. I just know my observations after all I had to do is watch a little bit. Ole Miss's offense, when they go fast, they're so good. And they only had 1 3 and out, I guess, the whole game, right? And that was early. And they're not perfect, but they just, when they get going fast, Corral has such command of that RPO offense and reading it and understanding where routes are in relation to linebackers. And when they turn, he runs, and he just has such great command and timing of that RPO offense. It is fun to watch, unless it's your team trying to defend it, And then on the other side, Ole Miss's defense is a little better. Now, Louisville's not. I thought Chris Brooks' show was great. I loved it. And I know he's worn out. but I thought his show was great. I cracked up, first of all. Brooks was talking about the blue. He's like, we got to find a name for the blue. And for anybody that watches the live stream here on my show, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, if you'll take a look, the Ole Miss blue is this exact same color blue as that Bob Ross positive energy drink sitting right there on my desk. Now, I do wish that I had dusted that portion of my desk. Pay no attention to that dust over there in the corner. I got to dust it. All right, so little things, details. But that's what color blue it is. You could call it Bob Ross positive energy drink blue, or just call it Bob Ross blue. Now, doesn't that have a ring to it? And see, and I have the can of energy drink to prove it. Now, that cracked me up. And then Beaver cracked me up with his Matt Corral Heisman slogan. And then Brooks's reaction to that cracked me up. I love their show. But anyway, I thought he did nail it. He said, somebody asked him the question. He said it's both. I mean, Ole Miss's defense is better. And Louisville's just a bad football team. I mean, they didn't have any clue on offense. They didn't even, they couldn't even execute just basic short underneath throws last night. So, in Louisville, they were kind of physical early on defense. A few, but you could tell, Ole Miss was just going to overwhelm them with their offense, and they did. I don't know how in the world Louisville put points on the board in that game unless Ole Miss just kind of got bored with it, which is understandable. You didn't have a great crowd there for the game, but that's understandable too. It's a Monday night in Atlanta. Okay, what are we doing? Monday night in Atlanta. Didn't have a great crowd, but Ole Miss was so in control of the ball game. And again, watching the first half, you watch a school like Louisville who went from Teddy Bridgewater And he was so accurate throwing the ball in college and still is just insanely accurate throwing the ball. And in college, it was like everything was on a dead run. From Teddy Bridgewater to Lamar Jackson, who was like highlight a second at Louisville. Well, he had a game where he scores 8, 9 touchdowns, whatever it was. And to go from that to now we're this at Louisville, and that's their offense. I mean, they can't even complete just basic stuff. And look, Ole Miss did help him because Ole Miss was physical, man. They were hitting and tackling and running around, flying around, making plays, interception in the middle of the field, safety drops back. I mean, Ole Miss's defense looked to me like, an off season in the weight room and everybody growing up and, a spring to have some continuity. They had no issues lining up in the right places. And, man, when they got there, they hit and they wrapped up. Just fundamental stuff is going to make them better. And so they look better to me on defense. But, again, though, the thing that sort of marred the game for me was all those targetings. And I get the rule, but what I don't get are the ejections for what they are saying is targeting that's happening during the course of a normal play. Okay, and I'm about to cover that with you now and just settle in. All right, I'd love to hear your opinions on it, really. This is not going to be a thing where if you disagree with me, I'm going to dismiss it. That's not it. I'm just really strong in my opinion on this, okay? And I'm going to lay it out for you. This is how stupid the oversight is on this particular rule and has been since day one. Okay, I'm going to tell you because the fix is so simple. We're going to get into that right now. And yes, there is big news for Mississippi State football. Reports out there. You can find them all over the place. Here's one at the Dispatch. Starting left guard, Quatrevious Dollar Bill Johnson, starting offensive guard, arrested yesterday by the Oktibbeha County Sheriff's Office on charges of malicious mischief. It's classified as a misdemeanor, meaning the value of the property damage is $1,000 or less, and it carries a fine of up to $1,000 or up to 12 months in jail. Now, $1,000 fine ain't no big deal, but 12 months in jail is. Okay, so I don't know what the details are on this. I didn't see it until right before we came on the air. A buddy of mine sent me a text and said, "What did he do?" And I'm like, "Who did what?" I have no idea. That's what you get when you don't follow everybody on Twitter, I guess. But yeah, arrested. So what did he do? Malicious mischief. I mean, what is that? I'll tell you this much. I mean, I don't know everything about everything, but I would expect Cole Smith to start at left guard for you. Last year's starting center. And he played some in the game the other day, maybe 1 or 2 series. But I would bet he's your left guard in the game. You can't get arrested for really anything during the middle of the week. I just don't know what the details are. Malicious mischief, a form of vandalism. So you've got that story out there. So we'll get into, we're going to get into all of it. First, let me just set it up where you can be a part of the conversation, and then I'm going to tell you about this targeting thing, okay? You can comment on the live stream if you're on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, otherwise. Hey to everybody. Sven was the first to comment as usual over in Germany. He says, "Hail State, everybody." And yes, targeting is broken. Y'all can go read his comment there on YouTube. Mr. Harmon was letting me know on YouTube that Dollar Bill had been arrested yesterday. Makes a rotation a little more interesting on the offensive line. Danny commented on YouTube, said targeting rule is frustrating, broken, all this kind of stuff, and it goes back to ejection. Now, Bill, you've got a long comment there, and I'm going to get to it because we're about to get into that discussion. If y'all want to text me, I hope you will. Country Please and text line is 885-ESPN or 885-3776. Feel free to text. Nick says, "I have learned that I have been flagged for targeting regarding my MSU O-line text yesterday." No. Well, I'll put it this way. We may have flagged you, Nick, but you didn't get ejected. And that's the way it should be. We didn't eject anybody from the game. Squest said, I sure did enjoy listening to Herb Street and the guys talk about all of their dogs last night. Geez. Hey, Squez, was it just me or was the broadcast with Herb Street and who's his partner? Reese? Were they sort of like unusually low key and just sort of flatline and I don't know, during the broadcast of that game last night? Or was it just me? I could be totally wrong, but it's almost like before they even kicked it off, it's like they knew the outcome and were sort of just kind of like, oh, there's play, yeah, whatever. What about your dogs again? I mean, it was really nonchalant. We know what that means. I don't know where it came from, but we know what nonchalant means. As far as the question of will Dollar Bill miss the game on Saturday, I don't have any idea, but I would imagine, right? I mean, I would think, but I don't know. Denzel says malicious mischief is causing physical damage. If someone knowingly or maliciously causes physical damage to another's property, they are guilty of malicious mischief. Got it. What could that be? What'd you break? And JJ says, why doesn't the running back ever get called for targeting? The running back always lowers the crown of his helmet. Let's just start right there on targeting. Let's start right here on a ground level. What are we told the targeting rule is there for? It's all about what? Player safety. Right? Do we agree on that? This is a player safety issue. Let me give you an example. Last week, before the first weekend of college games, the SEC coordinator of officials, John McDade, had a conference call with radio crews and different people. Sent everybody the notes from that conference call, going over rules changes for this year. This is what's called a quote-unquote off year for officiating, meaning there's only certain things that they will address in the rules in an quote-unquote off year. So address everything every year. Well, in an off year, one of the things that's on the table is player safety. Well, one of the things that they, again, this year said continues to be a point of emphasis, player safety and targeting calls. We are told it is a player safety issue. Does anyone here, you, me, players, coaches, anybody, have a problem with trying to do the right thing regarding player safety? Anybody have a problem with that? Nope. Nobody has a problem with looking for a way to improve player safety, to look out for player safety, to prioritize player safety. So, JJ, I ask you on the basis of all that I just said, which player safety are we worried about? Because according to the way this thing has been administered from day one by a lot of supposedly smart and supposedly well-intentioned people, the way it has been administered is there is only one group of player safety we're worried about. Because every single solitary targeting call that has ever been thrown is thrown against a defensive player. Now, explain that. Is it about safety or not? Let's start right there. Are we concerned for all the players' safety or not? You bunch of dummies. Line them up. Commissioners, presidents, coaches, especially officials. Line them up and let me tell them, you big dummy. Every targeting call you've thrown is on a defensive player, but you tell me you're concerned about everybody's safety. Well, they're hitting offensive players. Yeah, but what about when that running back goes forward, full speed, he runs a 4.4 and lowers his head? Whose safety are we concerned about here? Because your actions in administering this rule, college football officiating crews, do not back up your message that this is about player safety. It ain't. It's about offensive player safeties. Because we don't care about the defensive guys. Because we're throwing them out. And we're flagging them. But the running back can lower his head. No, I'm not mad about it. I'm making a point. Here's the thing. Saturday in the Mississippi State-Louisiana Tech game, I've got the video clip of it. I'm going to use it in a video that I'm working on this week that is a part 2 to a video I made in January explaining how the targeting rule is broken. The administration of the targeting rule is broken. But I'm going to add some things to it, including stuff from last night's Ole Miss game. But I think he's the best offensive player Mississippi State has. And that's Woody Marks, the running back. And Woody is a guy who you watch him run the ball. When he gets to the end of the run, he is seeking contact. He never even looks for a way to take on the contact in a slight way. Just takes it on full on. He takes a pounding, but he delivers a pounding too. And the other day, there was a run where he's meeting a safety, and just as he got there, he put like a bull trying to gore the guy with the red cape, the bullfighter. Just goes right into him full speed and ducks his head, top of his head, straight into the helmet of the defensive player. If Woody Marks doesn't stop that, he's going to get hurt. If we are concerned about player safety, I promise you, I am. I am. Matt, would you rather him not make those yards and stay healthy? Yes. There should have been a flag thrown on Woody Marks for doing that. Because we're throwing these flags for player safety, right? To get that out of the game, right? What about the running back too? I'm just as concerned about his safety in delivering a hit as I am about his safety in taking a hit from a safety or a linebacker. And the idea that a bunch of grown-ups would administer this rule the way we have, in light of everything I've just said, is irresponsible. That's the word. Now let me take it a step further for you. We're throwing people out of a game for things that they are doing within the construct of the game of football, within a normal play. We are throwing them out of a game, yet there are plenty of instances where things are happening outside of a normal play that are just as dangerous, and we're not throwing those guys out of the game. And I got example after example after example. Last night in that Ole Miss ball game against Louisville, when the Ole Miss linebacker is tackling a running back who has broken the line of scrimmage and they are headed towards each other and they're wrapping each other up, basically. One's got the ball, one doesn't. And obviously they're forcible contact and their heads connect. You're telling me in the normal play, making a normal tackle 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, that is the kind of play that the player should be ejected from the game for? I'm telling you that's asinine for that player to get ejected for what he did. You're telling me as officials, commissioners, people making decisions, that what that linebacker for Ole Miss did in tackling that running back, a form tackle, their helmets happened to collide. A form tackle. You're telling me that that's the same thing. That's the same thing as a quarterback sliding, giving himself up, sliding, and a player diving in and spearing him in the face with his helmet. You're telling me that's the same thing, just as egregious as each other, and they both deserve ejections. You're telling me that a linebacker making a form tackle whose helmet happens to the running back a little bit is the same thing and to be punished the same way as a defenseless receiver going up for a pass in the middle of the field, looking back towards his quarterback, arms up, extended, going to catch the ball, and a safety coming the opposite direction, ear holes him in the ear, helmet to helmet, and never sees it. Could have killed him. And you're telling me you're going to administer that penalty the same way we're throwing them both out of the game. Here's the biggest problem, is the way the rule is worded actually even says that the contact has to be outside of a normal play. It says it. Look it up. They put it in the rule. They're not administering it that way. And here's the last thing I'm going to throw at you. The very idea that we're allowing officials to make judgment calls, and we get it, that's part of it. They have to make judgment calls. Yet we don't trust them to have two different kinds of targeting. Targeting 1 and targeting 2. Targeting 1, it is so simple. Targeting 1 is within a normal play. Targeting 1 is what the linebacker did. It's not egregious. It's during the play. It's within the construct of a normal football play. The running back has crossed the line of scrimmage. He hits him, wraps him up for a tackle. They happen to hit helmet to helmet. You want to call targeting? Call it. Mark off 15 yards. But don't eject that player for doing his job. It's not fair to the player or any player. That's targeting 1. Targeting 2 is when the ball's thrown over a receiver's head. He's not even looking, and bam, he gets hit in the ear hole, turns a flip just because the safety wanted to hit him, and he's defenseless. Throw him out of the game. That's targeting 2. We do it in basketball. Every basketball crew in the country is doing what? Judgment call. Is it flagrant 1 or flagrant 2? Yet we can't trust football officials to do it. What are we doing? Fix it now. You can fix it this week. Don't wait till next year. It is a big steaming pile of you know what that you've let it go on as a decision maker. All of you.
By now, we all know that Louisville George is a bit of a crazy man, but I'd say you're the crazy one if you don't.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if you know who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy bird's eye. Better buy bird's eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye box.
Back to the Matt Wyatt Show. Talking more great sports for you, Mississippi.
Online transmission is ready, sir.
Live online at thezone1059.com and
keep your radio turned on
to ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, just getting started with you here on this Tuesday. A whole ton to get into. Obviously, reaction, as you know, I said I would. I haven't even come over to some of the comments yet on the live stream about targeting, and I've got a couple of phone calls holding on, a bunch of texts to get to. So I hope, let's settle in now. We're into the kind of the second quarter of the ball game here together on this show, if you will. So let's hit the phone line so they don't have to wait much longer, and then I'll come to your comments on the text on the live stream, including Bill and Dave and others. All right, first up on the Davini Equipment phone line, Chris on line 1. What's up, Chris?
How you doing, Matt?
I'm all right, thanks.
Okay, so the question I have for you about targeting, I'm on your side here. I think it's ridiculous. Because I think that more times than not, now they're teaching the running backs and the ball carrier to drop their head and to drop their body down and initiate the targeting so they can kick out people. I mean, I honestly believe they're teaching kids that.
Yeah, I don't. I disagree, but that's fine. We don't have to agree on everything.
But the other thing is that, do you remember the last person big-name person that broke their neck playing football?
The last one? Well, I know there have been. I wouldn't know the last one. No, I certainly, remember the kid at Rutgers a few years ago playing against Georgia.
I didn't know about that one. But the one that I'm talking about was, remember Ryan Shazier broke his neck that night?
Yeah, playing for the Steelers.
In that play, he launched wrong and used his neck, but also too, the same thing happened. The running back dug down to miss it, and their heads hit each other.
Yeah.
If the running back hadn't dug down, it probably would have been a lot worse on Ryan Shazier because he would have hit him head mass. I'm with you on this. I think it's broken, and I don't think that you should be. I mean, it's kind of like every other rule the NFL's made. They're protecting the offensive players more than they're protecting the defensive players.
Yeah, and ultimately what they're doing too is they're protecting their own reputation. A lot of this, and I'm not throwing them all, I'm not lumping them all in here. I do believe that a lot of the administrators who came up with targeting and were looking at it, they're trying, because they don't want kids to get hurt and be in a wheelchair. And they're good folks, okay? But there also is this element of, well, we're going to blanket this thing. Since we're going to do it, we're going to blanket it where every time we go targeting, and it's simply leading with the crown, defenseless, helmet to helmet, whatever, we're going to target, we're going to throw it. When in doubt, throw it. And we're going to call it and send the players out of the game for all of them. And see, you can't do that. That's not right. Just to cover your own rear end, to take away some of the responsibility on the call. You can't do it, is what I'm saying.
Was it the bowl game last year that Earl Thompson got thrown out in?
No, it was the Missouri. It was a Missouri game.
Missouri game. That's right.
And see, here's the.
And it was awful.
It was awful because, he's playing middle linebacker in a defense, facing the offense. They throw the ball out to Errol's left to a tight end who catches it at the line of scrimmage, who turns around, and as he's getting ready to make a move, there's Errol who tackles him, knocks him back. And it wasn't the tops of their helmet, neither lowered their head, it's just that the helmets hit each other. and they called targeting, threw him out of the game on the second play. And fast forward to Mississippi State's bowl game, Chris, playing Tulsa. Kobe Jones playing defensive end on the line of scrimmage. The ball goes down the field. Kobe Jones turns to chase it down the field, gets knocked down. He's on the ground, face down. He's starting to do a push-up to get up. And from behind him, the offensive lineman for Tulsa dives onto his back, spears the back of his helmet with his helmet, and drives Kobe's head into the ground. The official threw the flag and called a personal foul, but did not call targeting and did not throw him out of the game when everything that kid did was the definition of targeting. So he can do that and get a 15-yard personal foul, stay in the game, but but Errol Thompson or that linebacker for Ole Miss last night making a football play can't stay in the game. It's out of balance. It's out of whack.
I agree wholeheartedly. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. When they took out the targeting, when they started doing the targeting, weren't they trying to take out the crackback block?
Well, I think it was that, and it was the defenseless receiver thing across the middle also. Safety's coming in there high to sort of dislodge him from the football and wanted to take out helmet to helmet on that too. And look, here's my thing, Chris. It's not a bad idea to take those things out. Crackback blocks, hits on defenseless receivers who can't see the safety coming. He's just going for the ball and bang, he's ear-holed. Next thing you know, he turns a flip and he's got a concussion. You want to take those things out of the game? Sure. You want to take out this lowering the head we're talking about. A lot of it's this initiative to, we're going to curb this activity and get players to see what they hit and stop leading with the top of their helmet. Okay, fine. Flag them. But you can't have a normal football play where it's almost inadvertent contact of the helmets like last night and throw that kid out of the game. You can't have the game of football if that's what you're going to do. And the idea that they couldn't fix it by going targeting 1 and 2 is asinine. They can fix it. They can do it right now.
That's true, and I agree with you. So one last thing. What are we going to have to watch? We're going to have to watch a running back break his neck from lowering his head before they ever start taking it seriously?
Well, I hope
because,
not.
Honestly, if you want the truth, Matt, 9 times out of 10, the kid that breaks his neck is the one to initiate contact, right?
It's a good.
So it's only a matter of time if these running backs keep lowering their head that one of them's going to get a broken neck out of it.
You're exactly right, and I hope it doesn't. But unfortunately, I think you're right, Chris. Thanks for the call. Coffee Norman's been hanging on the line for a pretty good little while. I appreciate that. What's up, Norman?
Hey, Matt. Two things about targeting, and I agree with you about the rule. It sounds like you've thought about it a lot. You know a lot more football and the whys behind the rule change than I would. But everybody was taught how to tackle correctly at one point in playing football, and I think they're still teaching that. And I would ask this to you: Do you think that officiating needs to do better on lower levels of football, having a good rule that is called targeting or whatever it might be called, and that way these players grow up with it being enforced instead of just getting to college and all of a sudden now, it's a big issue and you're getting tossed out of the game for it. I just think it's got to start earlier than college. Am I right?
You're exactly right, Norman. If they aren't going to, adjust this rule, but either way, we're talking about player safety. So on that premise, you're right. The lower levels of football have to teach tackling. It's just that these guys are running full speed, and the play takes place in a second and a half sometimes, 2 seconds. Let's count it. On two, ready, go. Blue 88, hut, 1001, 1002. And the play's over. And we all ran full speed, flying all over the place. And the idea that every single time the guy is going to not use his helmet. It's basically, if it doesn't change, here's what you tell your defensive players. Never use your helmet as a part of the don't even go shoulders first. That's the only way to keep your head from making contact with another guy and assuring that you're not getting thrown out of the game. Don't even, go up there and just jump on his back and bear hug him. Something, leg whip him.
That's right.
Something, because here's the craziest thing about it. They're all wearing helmets. In reality, we're going, okay, well, we're gonna legislate the helmet-to-helmet contact out of the game. Yet we're still going to let them wear helmets. None of this makes any sense at all, Norman. That's what I think. It's because somebody...
I agree with that, Matt.
Somebody somewhere is afraid, and that's my biggest problem. Have the guts to step out here and go, you know what? There are some targetings where we're not throwing that kid out of the game. Like the one last night on that Ole Miss linebacker. Thanks for the call, Norman. Appreciate you. Chandler on line 3. Thanks for calling, Chandler. What's up?
Hey, Matt. So, sorry to open an old wound here, but from last week we talked about Dolph Lundgren with your with Homecoming Queen.
Yeah.
And this came across my Facebook today. I thought you needed to know. So, in the Marvel comic universe right now, all the ladies are obsessed with Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor.
Yeah,
Familiar?
Thor. Right.
Okay, I know this because my wife is, I promise. So, this came across my Facebook. It was Avengers if it was made in the 90s. And it shows all the different actors from the 90s who were big and popular back then and who they would be if they were an Avenger.
That's great.
And I thought it was hilarious that who else but Dolph Lundgren was picked to be Thor out of everybody.
Isn't that great? So it's Avengers if it were made in the 90s. I'm going to have to find that, Chandler.
I don't know if we're friends on Facebook, but I'll send it to your Facebook
Yeah,
page.
please do, because I want to show Annabeth and get her reaction. I'd like to see that. Being a kid,
man, appreciate
Thank you.
your time.
Yeah, as a kid of the 90s, I'll probably have a much greater appreciation for the Avengers than
you're just going to be adding fuel to the fire.
I'm afraid so, but at this point, I'll do anything for a laugh. That's kind of how I feel about it. Just entertain me. All right. As you can tell, it's time to get into the comments. Bill, I'm coming to your comment on Facebook next about targeting. Dave, so many others, Facebook, YouTube. On the text line, I'm coming to yours, I promise. Kyle and Baxter and Bama Fan and Chad, better known as Pookie, Bigglesworth, Bernie, Dirtbag, Red Rebel, all y'all, I'm coming to your text. We're going to go rapid fire next. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Jeans do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. Yeah, jeans do come true. That's what the bag says. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, and at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order. So I just went online, ordered them, BlueDeltaJeans.com. A couple weeks ago, went in, I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy. I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's Virtual Tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own. Bet you never thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, jeans do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. And remember, folks, Meadow Gold
is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jello instant pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jello instant pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jello instant pudding, made by the famous Jello folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert, Jello instant pudding.
The Zone.
Are you ready? Brace yourself.
Now back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
Let's don't waste any time. Let's just go fast. All right. Over here on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, there's a comment earlier from Bill on Facebook. The targeting calls in the first half were legit. While the penalty would be more fair than the ejection, the NCAA can't be perceived as going soft on targeting at the expense of player health and safety. Bill, 100% agree. That is not even what I'm saying. I'm not blaming the officials. Please hear me say this, and I haven't even read the rest of the comment. Please hear me say this. I'm not blaming the officials on the field for calling what they called in any of these. I'm not faulting any of them for throwing that flag. They are being told to do it. By who? Coordinator officials of the conference, national coordinator of officials. Who do they answer to? Conference commissioners. Who do the conference commissioners answer to? The presidents. It's all above the guys on the field. They're doing their job. You call the targeting. Heck, those last night, they're reviewing and calling targeting when they slow it down. They are absolutely doing what they are told to do. It ain't the officials on the field that has the problem. It's the rule from the top and the way they want it administered. It's not right. It's faulty. They have failed miserably in doing what they're supposed to do for the game. It's not the fact they threw it and called it. Those guys are doing what they're told to do. It says in the rule that they've put out there, even though the other stuff is wishy-washy, at the bottom, you know what it says to officials? The rule, when in doubt, call targeting. I'm almost quoting it word for word there. And then you get to something really important. Bill says plaintiff lawyers are waiting to bring a case against the NCAA as was done to the NFL. Well, then if that's the case, and if that is considered in this decision-making, Bill, we know that it is, then they don't need to feed me a line about player safety. It goes back to what we've talked about when JJ's text and on Chris's call. Which player's safety? Because it apparently ain't all of them. The very idea, Bill, that we have one kind of targeting for all of them, and they all get thrown out of the game. is asinine. It is completely and utterly hogwash. Dave says they give unsportsmanlike 2 penalties before an ejection. Why not do the same for targeting? Why not, Dave? Could it be the worry about those plaintiff lawyers who are sitting over there tapping their finger on the desk just waiting? Because if it is, grow up and grow some. Not to you, I'm saying to those decision makers. And Keith on Facebook says, might as well bring back the leather helmets, flags around the waist. Will on YouTube said, I think the rule needs to be applied to running backs and wide receivers that charge head down into defenders that are angling simply to make a tackle. And then they change the rule before some running back breaks his neck, and I think they should too. At least give me something that's fair about it. All right. Grumpy texted the show, and he said, Matt, Grumpy thought Coach Kiffin's words were hilarious on Ole Miss tackling in his halftime interview. Well, the only thing to me that was off is Kiffin should not have gone after them and like called out this quote-unquote Big Ten officiating crew, saying as if it's some sort of problem with them. I got news for you. The way this targeting stuff works, Coach Kiffin, the SEC crew would have done it also. They're all just doing what they're told to do. You know who the national coordinator of officials is right now? It's Steve Shaw, who a year ago was the SEC coordinator of officials. That's who that Big Ten crew's answering to. It wasn't him saying this Big Ten officiating crew calling targeting. Guess what? Any of them would have. That's the problem. I'm sorry. The problem is not that they called it. The problem is that the rule carries ejection. See, on the one for the first one for the Ole Miss linebacker, if it's 15 yards personal foul, but he stays in the game, Kiffin ain't even complaining about it. He accepts it. Yeah, he did it. 15 yards. It's kind of like a late hit out of bounds. Yeah, we did it. 15 yards. Okay, line up and play. We accept it. The reason everybody's angry? Under no circumstances that kid deserved to be ejected from the ball game. JJ texts the show. Also, a great tackle can instantly change if the ball carrier lowers his helmet. It's true. Earl and Madison texted. Matt, I'm an Ole Miss guy, but wasn't one of the targeting calls on Louisville last night on a blocker on the kick return team. It came when one of their guys. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's blocking a guy, but he sort of caught him when he wasn't looking and ear-holed him, and by definition, there it is. But again, make it a judgment call. And he said he agrees. Red Rebel says, preach it, Matt. I agree 100%. The rule should be enforced for both sides of the ball. I think it ought to be enforced for both sides of the ball, and I think there ought to be a targeting 1 and a targeting 2, just like there's a flagrant 1 and a flagrant 2 in college basketball. If we can't do that, find some people who can. Dirtbag says, total BS that they can't understand and administer the rules that they created. See, my problem is what the officials are being told to do. Bernie from Canada agreed. He said, beautifully said and perfectly right. Bigglesworth texted the show. He says, the targeting rant was the best I've heard since your epic Jackson pothole rant. I don't even remember that one now. Chad, better known as Pookie, says, didn't Marquis Spencer get ejected from the Auburn game after being carried out on a stretcher for a weird tackle targeting call? Yeah, it's true. He caught the injury, but he got the targeting call also. They announced it while the cart was taking him off into the tunnel. Same game that earlier they called targeting on Auburn, and it was targeting on a defenseless receiver who they hit him so hard in the face when he wasn't looking, the ball went over his head that it bent his face mask. They reviewed it, overturned it. It's the dumbest stuff. I'm telling you, you couldn't fathom it if you were trying to make it up. Some of the stuff they're pulling with this targeting thing. You couldn't even dream it up because you'd think, that's way too unrealistic. No, it's not only realistic, they did it. Baxter says, how in the world can these guys really avoid making contact with their helmets anyway? Bingo! Maybe it is about lawyers, Baxter. Kyle said they're going to have to start baseball slide tackling if they keep calling targeting. Sliding in with your legs up. Leg whip. Okay, Denzel sent me the Avengers if it was made in the 90s. This is fantastic. For an old guy like me, I'm going to enjoy that. Thank you for sending that over. Kenny, don't call me Ken, said Matt. They said multiple players ejected in one ball game tells you that the penalty isn't working to halt the type of tackling they want to stop. Well, Kenny, you know what? Why can't somebody get me those stats? Here's the 2 stats I want. Since the targeting rule went into place, what was that, 2012, 13, 14, somewhere in there? Since the targeting rule that carried an ejection, and they adjusted it one time, I don't know, whatever. But since that went into place, number 1, have targeting calls gone up or down? And number 2, what about concussions? What about head injuries, neck injuries? Up or down? Find me those stats. They may not want to look at those stats. That may be why they're not out there. A named texter said it's also BS when a quarterback slides at the last millisecond. Somebody texted and said, I'm a little late to the party, but how can the Big Ten booth crew eject 4 players in a game last night after telling us that the hit by the Ohio State safety on Thursday was clean? Hogjowl. He said, the fact is targeting needs to be fixed. Arkansas got 2 targeting calls on both their starting linebackers. Both ball carriers lowered their heads into those linebackers. Part 2 of the text. The rule totally is biased against the defense. It is. If they're going to continue targeting calls, how about a larger penalty like 20 yards with no ejection? Ejections are such a harsh punishment. He says, Bumper Pool can't play the first half against Texas, which is the biggest game of his career. It's asinine. I'm telling you, Hogjowl, it's irresponsible. That's why I say, show me the stats. Have the targeting instances gone up or down? Head and neck injuries. Is it working? Are we doing any good throwing these guys out of a game for normal football plays? Because here's the thing. If you don't throw them out for normal football plays, but you do eject players for the egregious stuff, guess what? There's going to be more emphasis to not do the egregious stuff. Can't they understand that? All right, so an hour of targeting rants. And frankly, I just don't know if you need any more of that. I would imagine if I was sitting in your shoes, by about this point, I'd be thinking, shut up, Matt. Drop it. Move on. We'll see where that goes. Hour 2 in the Farm Bureau studio coming up. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. Stay with me.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down.
you go to countrypleasin.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country Pleasin' sausage. Hands down, the best. Trust me. Divinity Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their No Bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if you know who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
That's right. Unlike other detergents, Cascade Platinum has 50% more cleaning power with enzymes that break down food particles. It even works in your dishwasher's quick wash cycle. So skip the pre-rinse and switch to Cascade Platinum with 50%.
WRKS Pickett's Jackson.
Hi, John.
Hi.
It's time to get back to the Matt Wyatt Show. Live in the studio. Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
All right. Here we go. Back with you. Hour number 2 of the show off and running in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau. Go! With the home team. They are your home team. Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes. That's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. Available to you in all 82 counties. Check them out at favrates.com. Give me a call on the Davini phone, 995-1059. You can be like Chris and Coffee Norman and Chandler, and I can hear your voice, and everybody else can too. Or you might choose to text me on the Country Pleasing text line. That'll work. That'll work. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. I've got a duel going on right now in my fridge because I've got some black pepper and cheddar Country Pleasing sausage, and I've got some jalapeno and cheddar Country Pleasing sausage, and every morning I don't know which one I want. And it's like one of them goes, "Psst. Hey man, this is black pepper and cheese. You know you want this. You know this is better than that guy. You don't want that guy." And then the jalapeno and cheddar's looking at me, winking, going, mm-hmm. He knows what's up. I'm the best. Yeah, I don't know. I stand in front of the fridge in the mornings going, black pepper and cheddar, jalapeno and cheddar. What am I? I'll just have both. I think I actually might have had some of both this morning for breakfast instead of just the one. All right, so y'all can be a part of the show, and I hope you will be. There's a lot going on. We talk this, just irresponsible application of targeting that's going on in college football. Probably time to move on, but I do want to hit a few more comments real quick. Bama fan texted the show, and he said that there should have been the first ever double ejection on targeting. They should have called both 38 and 7 on the hit on Matt Corral. Yeah, I wondered that. When we saw it happen, I told Annabeth, I said, are they going to throw both of them out of the game on the same play? I don't know if that's ever happened. It's crazy. Nick said, let a defender hit Brady in the head, and he'll be tarred and feathered on the 50-yard line. I actually had a Brady reference in the broadcast with Neil Price on Saturday of State's game against La Tech. And it was when they didn't pick up a twist. Will Rogers got hit. Now, I know that sounds like that could be any play, but he got hit, and his arm was barely going forward. The ball comes out. They let the play go as if it were a fumble recovered by La Tech and called it fumble recovered on the field, only to review it and see that his arm was going forward, and it was an incomplete pass. And when we were in the review process, I told Neil on the broadcast, I said, I know this. If that was Tom Brady, it'd be an incomplete pass. We know it. Well, it was pretty obvious incomplete pass. But I will say what I liked about it is those officials in that game did what they were supposed to do and let the play go, right? Because it's one of those where we can always review it later. We let it go as if it's a fumble. That way it's recovered. We see the culmination of the play in case review upholds it. Because then we know where to spot the ball and stuff. As opposed to in the past, like go back to 2017? Yes, 2017, Mississippi State at Auburn. Early in the game, ball gets knocked out. Montez Sweat picks it up. He's about to run it in for a touchdown at Auburn, and the officials go, blow it dead. No, he was down. Bring it back. Blew it dead. Montez Sweat's about to run in the end zone. He turns and stops like, what? What are you blowing a whistle for? I'm going to score. They brought the ball back. Guess what replay showed? First down, Mississippi State. You let the play go, it's 7 points on the board. But hey, officials are human too. Now, here's what I really wanted to get to. And it's a text from an unnamed texter. I just want to know if this is true. And I don't know if this has ever been asked to a conference commissioner or a someone at the NCAA, maybe, or a coordinator of officials nationally. Steve Shaw, the former SEC coordinator of officials, is the national coordinator of officials for college football, and he is a wonderful human being. Steve is as nice and good a guy as you'll ever come across. I really believe that. Now, he's not perfect. None of us are in terms of getting our job done and doing it like everybody ought to do it, whatever. But he was a really good official, and he's a wonderful guy. But I don't know that anybody's ever asked him, just point blank, does any of this targeting stuff get affected by the possible legal liability angle? Now, if you ask, you're not going to get a straight answer. But isn't that a fair question? Unnamed texter says, Matt, this is all about liability. Same as with most policies in any kind of business. They don't want to be sued. And see, I have a problem with that. We get one life. Each of us gets one life on this earth. And, frankly, we ought to be able to reach a point and reach a consensus on certain things that money isn't going to make us crooked, that threats of litigation, some of it frivolous, are not going to cause us to make stupid decisions, or at least weak ones. Mark on line 1 of the Davini Equipment phone line. Mark, thanks for calling. What's up?
Hey, Matt. I totally agree with you about this targeting stuff, but I called mainly to ask if you saw the Oklahoma-Hawaii game.
Okay, you talking about this year? Because Oklahoma played Tulane, right? UCLA played Hawaii.
About that. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, get my games mixed up.
That's all right.
I watched too many of them. Yeah. Right there toward the end of that game, Hawaii, doing it again, the Tulane player was called for interference.
Okay.
When he never even touched the defender and basically intercepted the ball. It would have been their ball. And I haven't heard anybody discuss that.
Hadn't heard anybody talk about it?
That could have turned the game around, and Tulane could have gone ahead and went down the other end and scored.
Was it a fourth quarter play, Mark?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fourth quarter
and
play.
They called the defender, and both of the guys at the booth said, that's a bad call. The defender never touched. So here's a follow-up question. They do replay on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So why aren't they doing replays on that? They call that one of those calls that cannot be reviewed on the field. When a referee says there's interference, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Mark, I am so glad.
Why isn't that call reviewable? That calls Tulane the ball game.
I'm going to go watch it. I didn't see it. I'm going to go find it. I'm so glad you asked me that question, Mark, because now is our opportunity to involve Saints fans in our broadcast here today. Because if you remember, several years ago in the NFC Championship game in New Orleans, the Saints were hosting the Rams. And you had this unbelievably egregious pass interference against the Saints. It happened. It would have been a call against it. The foul was committed by the Rams, but the official stood right there and didn't call it. And it effectively, the Saints were fixing to go score if that doesn't happen, we felt like. So anyway, if you'll remember, because of that, it was so egregious of that official looking right at it, not calling it, that the next year people lobbied and worked behind the scenes, and it was this big outcry. And they said, okay, we're going to allow coaches in the NFL to throw the red flag and challenge interference calls, both when
it should be done.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, here's what happened. The NFL officials collectively, as a group, they banded together. They had this like unwritten rule thing and made an absolute joke of the review process that entire NFL season. Anytime somebody challenged for an interference call to be made or against an interference call that was made, the officials totally ignored it. They would review it, and they not one time changed what they called on the field or anything. And they did it very intentionally to totally circumvent the spirit of the rule that had been put in. And they got it changed. Almost like a union standing up against something and saying, we just aren't doing it. It was, I've never seen anything like it in pro sports. And so the fact that that's the way it went in the NFL tells me they'll never do it in college ball.
You may be right. I hate it, though.
I do too.
That play cost Tulane the ball game, in my opinion.
I appreciate you bringing it up because I missed the
game.
I saw the score.
The defender never touched him.
Defender never touched him. I'm going to go look it up. Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
You know what?
Yeah, I'm going to go look that up. I missed that Oklahoma-Tulane game. I mean, look, Tulane really challenged them. By the way, how do you say it? Is it Tulane or Tulane? How do y'all pronounce it? Do you say Tulane or Tulane? Yeah, man. I went on a rant about that. You talk about bogus. Okay, the homecoming queen has weighed in that it is Tulane. Maybe she'll join us later. You talk about bogus now. After that deal in the Saints-Rams game, and people worked with the NFL administration to get a challenge process where they could get officials to review interference calls they made to see if it actually was interference, and 2, calls they didn't make to show that there was interference, and coaches started challenging it, and the officials would not enforce it. They would not consider reviewing. They went through the motions. They totally revolted against the spirit of that rule they put in. And I will never respect NFL officials, any of them who were a part of that. Because to every single one of those officials who maybe they have a union, I don't know, but to every single one of those NFL officials who were a part of that, pulling that stunt, they said to me, Matt, all of this is about me. It's not about the game. It's not about the players. It's not about you as the fan. This is about me. That's what every one of those officials said. I got no respect for any of them. Personally, run tell them. Kobe on line 1 of the Davini phone. Kobe, thanks for calling. What's up?
What's going on, Matt? I'm just back from South Beach heading to the house from the airport.
Hey, how was the trip?
You know, I catch your show oh, man, I'm about to tell you about it now. From just a personal vacation point, it's one of those destinations. Put it on your bucket list. And if you stay on South Beach. I'll just leave it there and let you figure out the rest. But yeah, as far as I was caught the Louisville Ole Miss game last night, and at first I was like, man, they throwing the flag on every play, but looking at the replays and stuff, it is bad technique, you know. Yes, it's policy to protect them from liability and future CTE suits, but it's also for their own protection, you know. So it's one of them situations you can't please everybody, but the benefit outweighs the, you know, just letting it loose. So last night, hey, Lane's got to get them boys on the machine, keep your head up and run through them. See what you hit, you know.
Yeah.
So,
hey, well, let me ask you this, Kobe, though, and just I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think that all of those targeting calls, if we're using those last night for examples, do you think that each one of them should get the player ejected from the ball game?
Now, the punishment, I think, needs to be different.
Okay.
Give it levels, you know, especially with the review and everything, give it levels. You know, you kick a kid out for a half, and a lot of it is you juiced up. You know, you ready to go hit somebody and go ahead and put them on that behind. You're supposed to be the hammer and not the nail. So it's adrenaline, and you have those are things you have to take into consideration when the policy is being devised. You know, you can't have, this is the line, it can't have a gun line, you know. Okay, well, if you cross the gun line, what if someone pushes you over the gun line? It's not your fault, you know. Things that you gotta have levels to it. So that's sort of my opinion on that. I don't agree with them losing a half or a half of the next game, you know. That if anything, tell them, you know, punish the coach. Tell them, look, coach, they got to do such and such drill for this amount of time a week, you know, and bam, that's a great solution. practice the technique, and they'll hit with their heads up then.
Sure.
Then subject number 2, I pronounce it Tulane.
Okay.
You makes you sound, you makes ooh, and it what they taught me in language arts. So I say Tulane, and that guy's right. I saw that play watching football this weekend, just being happy as back, and I was just like, oh, they made that call and won't correct it. So
Strange things happen. Strange
game.
things happen when you're about to beat Oklahoma at Oklahoma. Strange stuff happens.
Exactly. Opening night when the guy you're playing against is a Heisman.
You're right.
So yeah, I was like, wow. But to our game though, got to shout out my Tigers. You know, class of 2011, we represented well. You know, they looking for us to be there next year, man. See if you can make it. Especially if we go back, you'll have a great time.
I would love it.
I'm a diehard Tiger. You know, I tell them to shout them out every time we come in, but I'm scared, man. Looking at the offense, I see the same thing I saw in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the offensive line isn't as stout and solid as our defense, and our offense is, you know, the guy sitting next to me said it best, elementary. You know, we running ISOs and off tackles more than stretching the field. You know, when you got the capability to stretch the field, you know, you throwing more slant patterns than anything, you know, and that's the same thing they were doing in the spring.
You know
and
what I think it is?
And,
I know I'm interrupting you, Kobe, but I think.
no, go ahead. You're the quarterback.
Yeah, I think what part of that could be, and I watched most of the game, and I feel like a lot of it could be simply a maturation process for your quarterback in learning to read and throw against pressure. Okay, by throwing some called deep balls, and look, he throws a great deep ball. He really does.
Yeah, the one he threw to number 1, that was a pretty throw.
Yeah,
but they
and he
only
throws
threw it down the field plus 20 yards. That was the one time they threw it 20 yards.
Right, but that's it. See, you can call those things without having to do a whole lot of reading if you know you can get a one-on-one matchup or the call comes in from the sideline. And you throw slants a lot of times when you think you might get pressure, but we don't really want to read the blitz. As he gets older, he's going to see it, stuff, and you'll do more as he's capable of doing more, is what I think. And, you know, another thing I was going to point out to you, Kobe, the left side of Jackson State's offensive line is humongous. Okay, so 72, the left guard, transferred in from SMU, Dimitri Jordan. He's 6'5", 330 pounds. The left tackle, the guy right next to him, he's from Jones High School in Orlando, 6'5", 295. Oh, no, I got the wrong guy. Tony Gray is the transfer from Central Florida. The left tackle, 6'5", 310. They are humongous. And, you know, with size like that, you would think you'd be able to run the ball a little more, honestly.
And you know, I agree, but see, that's the thing. I understand maturation, and that's what a lot of my fellow colleagues and fans say. You know, just give them time to mature. But you know what I expect, and what I expect and how I expect them to mature is through coaching.
Yeah.
When he came here, you know, I love it. He's here. I love all the economic development and everything. But I wanted a superior coach and superior coaching staff. And that's what I'm not seeing improvement from spring to fall. We missed a field goal from the 14-yard line. If your kicker missed more than he made last year, he shouldn't be missing chip shots like that. And if you think about it, we lose that game if our defense don't come up with that fumble.
Yeah. You know, and this is what I would say, Kobe, is, you know, and I'm not trying to talk you off a ledge here. I mean, everybody's got their own emotions to deal with. You know, Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah, I got.
If you look at Ole Miss last night, they score and their kicker missed the first extra point, hit the upright, okay? And, you know, stuff like that's going to happen. And what I would say to you, too, is, you know, in college baseball, I always say don't ever overreact to the early part of the season in college baseball. Well, look at it this way. The first game of the year is 1/12 of the season. 1/12 of a baseball season for college baseball is 4.5 games. In the same way that we last year wouldn't have watched the first 4.5 games for Mississippi State and decided whether or not they were any good or not. I don't know that for a lot of football teams we can watch the first game, 1/12 of the season, and figure out if they're any good or not. Let's let it get into week 2 and 3. before we make any big judgments about the coaching is what I would say need a little bit bigger sample size.
Oh, well, let me say this. I understand that, but I know we got the talent. I'm looking forward to a SWAC title this year. But with all of these guys being new, what is going to help us get that SWAC title is superior coaching.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking. We got Aflac commercials now. See if we can take some tutoring classes with Nick and put it on Barstool or something. You know,
that'd be great.
I want exactly. You know, I might. That's an idea, Dion. He probably listening now. You know, but that's one of those things where taking those things. That's how he wants to help progress HBCUs. Well, you know, you doing commercials with the best coach in the country. Use some of his technique and tactics with your team. I guarantee. I'll say this and I'm going to let you go, Matt. I guarantee you, if Saban's kicker had missed more than he made in the spring, he wouldn't have missed his first kick this year coming out.
He probably wouldn't have been out there. He probably wouldn't have been out there. That's a good point.
Well, one of the two.
One of the two. That's a good point. Kobe, hey, welcome back. I'm glad the trip was safe. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks.
All right, you take it easy.
All right, you too. I'm serious. Watch Jackson State. 72 left guard, 74 left tackle. They are combined 640 pounds. And they're both 6'5". They were leaning on them, and I'm just so surprised they couldn't run it a little more. The homecoming queen is here. She'll be on your radio next. We are not talking about Dolph. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me.
Davini Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Design a jean. And before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
At ESPN 1059, The Zone.
Now to get back to our little talk.
Right here on The Matt Wyatt Show.
And right here on The Matt Wyatt Show, in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. The Queen. All hail the Queen.
Oh, my goodness. Bill. Bill knows how to make me feel good, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He likes you.
I know. I like Bill.
The homecoming queen is here. She is making an appearance. We have to have a conversation about the color blue.
Yeah.
And that will be forthcoming.
Okay.
Now, I don't, Chris is here, and Chris has got a short comment for us here on the Country Pleasing text line, even though he's hung on for a long time. Chris, sorry to leave you hanging, man. What's up?
It's all right. Hey, homecoming queen.
Hey, Chris.
Congratulations to the Land Sharks.
They won.
Chris Brooks said y'all need to name it Rebel Blue, and I called him and said, well, you're not the Rebels anymore. You're the Land Sharks, so it can't be Rebel Blue. It has to be Land Shark.
What was his best suggestion, though? He said they ought to call it Oxford Blue?
I think that might have been the best one. It was a bunch of junk there, so it's got to be that. So the thing I called about, Matt, is this, is that what we're looking at, and we need to take this into account, is that the NCAA and NFL football, when they make rules, they're just like their cousins up in Washington, and they make rules, and they've never done this stuff before. Half of those people probably never played football past the stage of high school, so they don't understand the speed of the game. The point is that they shouldn't be making these targeting rules, and half of the referees probably haven't played football past high school. So you shouldn't be making rules if you don't know what impact you're going to have on the game.
Yeah.
And that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, and to me, Chris,
I'm a truck driver.
Well, and I'm just saying that penalties that mark you off yardage in a game, that accumulate, moves you back 15, gives the other team a first down, that's one thing. Penalties that send the kid home, put him on the bench, he can't play another snap. If it's in the second half, he can't play next week. I'm just telling you, it's asinine. It's just absurd. It really is.
So here's a good one last thing. Here's a good suggestion. You know what? In the Missouri game, you had Earl Thompson versus the guy that got drafted in the fourth round this year, as far as linebackers go.
Yeah.
And Earl Thompson was outplaying him until they threw him out of the game. So what did they effectively do? They took money out of Earl Thompson's pocket because Earl Thompson went undrafted, and this other guy got drafted in the fourth round. They're not just taking away from people like in a game. They're taking away from people's livelihoods, and they should take accountability for that.
I appreciate the call, Chris. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you. So, Annie, see, here's what I told him. Now, you can't see it quite the same that everybody else sees it right now on the live stream, but my can over here of Bob Ross Positive Energy Drink.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
I mean, that's the color.
I mean, what was the first thing I said last night?
First
of all, it was so much fun to watch the game with you.
Yeah, to get to watch. The first half.
I never get to watch football with you because you're always gone.
That makes me sound terrible.
What do you mean?
I can't watch football with you. You're always gone.
Well, that's your life.
Yeah, I know.
What do you mean?
I know. I wish we could watch more football together. Okay, we did get to watch.
Anyway, we watched that. It's Smurf blue. I told you last night when they ran out, I said it's Smurf blue. It is the color of Papa Smurf. It is Smurf blue.
Yeah, it is. It's a modern iteration of the old powder blue helmets that they used to wear because it's not the same color.
I'm not a huge fan of it.
Are you not?
Mm-mm.
I think it looks great.
I like it a little bit lighter.
You like it lighter?
Yeah.
And I can see that more.
It's too Smurfy.
You know, the thing about it is, Annie.
It's too Smurfy.
Is you have Carolina blue, which like North Carolina wears this really light pale blue, which is kind of like the blue that UCLA has mixed into their uniforms.
Right.
And they call it UCLA blue. And I'm just wondering, see, Ole Miss a Nike school. And I'm wondering if there isn't, like, if it's North Carolina or if it's UCLA or somebody else, I don't know, but that has the color that Ole Miss used to have.
Maybe we just couldn't use it
Yeah,
anymore.
it said, hey, look, that's our color. You know, you have to get it your own.
So we went Smurfy.
I wonder
Smurftastic. It's a little bit too blue, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I would
People
say,
seem to like it.
I think it looks good, especially like, you know, on television. But on the helmet. Now, I didn't grow up an Ole Miss fan. Obviously, and I'm not an Ole Miss fan now. I'm just saying I used to think it looked good when they had the light helmets with the dark blue jerseys like they used to wear in the 80s and 90s when we were coming up.
I didn't mind that. I like that.
Yeah.
But it is exactly the color of Smurfs. There's no other comparison. It is Smurf blue.
However, I do think as far as giving it a name, see, Chris was so funny on his show. He's
I know, you told me. I didn't hear it.
He kept going, I just think the color needs a name. It just needs a...
Bless his heart.
And I told him, look, see this? I sent him the picture, and he tweeted me back and goes,
that's it.
That is somehow the exact color. And that is on that can
I
of
need
Bob
you to
Ross Positive Energy Drink.
I need you to do a split screen of one of our players and then
Bob
Papa
Papa
Smurf.
Smurf.
Because that's what it is.
That's what it is. But I think if they were to call it Bob Ross Blue, that would go viral.
Yeah. I don't think they'll get permission for that, but yes. Okay, Matt.
It would go viral because Bob Ross is popular.
Happy little trees.
Happy little trees. Yeah.
Love the noise he would make on the painting.
Yeah.
It's great.
Right. Oh, yeah, with the knife, he'd paint, and then he'd tell stories, and then he'd clean his brush and down here on the easel, you know?
Made you want to paint.
Yeah. And then you get the kit, the Bob Ross kit, and
it's downhill from there.
You can never do what he does. No. And he makes it look easy.
So I did enjoy the first half of football with you. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went to podcast land.
I have to admit something to you, Annie. I don't want to hide anything from you.
Oh, you're going to admit it now, live?
I told people on the air that I came up during halftime to record the
podcast,
Better Than Average podcast. It went a little long, and when I went back down to watch the second half, you were asleep.
I had fallen asleep. I was trying to stay awake. I never fall asleep early. And Ole Miss was so far ahead, I felt comfortable.
Yeah.
I thought, well, okay, we're doing pretty good. I'm just going to close my eyes for this commercial. It's like, let me just close my eyes during this commercial. And then you came down and went, oh, hey.
Well, I got a text during that from our friend, the renowned chef, Robert St. John.
Yeah.
And his text was, tell the homecoming queen congrats on this game. And I text back, she ain't worried about it. She's asleep on the couch right now.
You know, I just wanted to feel like an Alabama fan does during most games where they're so far ahead. If they want to fall asleep in the third quarter, they can.
Just get bored with it.
You wake up in fourth quarter and you're still so far ahead and you've won. And Ole Miss doesn't really grant you that kind of comfort very often, so I just took it.
Just took it while you can.
Just took it.
You know, Ole Miss looked to me very improved on defense. Their offense is still good. I honestly still don't know if their offense is going to be as good this year as it was last, but they're still good.
They looked good, didn't they?
Their defense looked improved to me, but at the same exact time, Louisville looked bad. Louisville had no clue on offense.
Are they just not good?
Yeah, but see, here's the thing about it, though.
Good?
Okay, here's the thing about it. Louisville's not good, especially on offense. They didn't have a clue on offense, but that Louisville offense would have scored about 30 points on Ole Miss's defense last year.
Okay, well then that's a plus.
See what I'm saying?
It's a good step forward.
And it's like Ole Miss didn't give up some points until they had the game in the bag.
I'm looking at my text messages last night during the game, and I was texting with I I think we've talked about Mom before. My grandmother.
Yeah.
She's Miss Ole Miss, 1948. She's just turned 94 last week, and she was texting me. It was 9:30. She's like, yeah, I like it when there's a big difference in the score and we're on top. So then I drifted off. At 10:30, she's like, now this is an even better game.
She gets nervous when it's tight.
She cooks. She cooks when Ole Miss starts to lose. She goes to the kitchen. She cooks no matter what time of day it is. If Ole Miss starts to do bad, she goes to the kitchen. And so she didn't have to cook last night, she said.
All these people are texting me and commenting to watch the Bob Ross documentary.
Oh.
There's apparently one on Netflix. Now, somebody tweeted me and says you need to watch the Bob Ross documentary on Netflix. Very interesting. But this is from Bo144. It says, very interesting, but it'll likely make you never want to spend money on anything Bob Ross related.
Oh, no. And you're promoting him every day on your
Every
camera.
Every single day.
I'm going to take that down.
I mean, goodness.
Okay, then. Well,
Let's see. Leslie commented on Facebook earlier and said, okay, watch the Bob Ross documentary on Netflix. Bob and his family were ripped off by Bob's partners, business partners, and Bob's not so bright half brother. His family lost all rights to Bob's likeness and profits from his shows and
so
our
that
product
can
lines.
right there didn't even go to Bob Ross, the money you paid for it?
Leslie says, I won't buy any more Bob Ross products again. And I've even been to the Bob Ross experience in Muncie, Indiana.
What? This is scandal.
A scandal regarding Bob Ross?
Forget the Smurf talk.
Well, here's what I want to know. Is there a good cause or a charity out there, something that the Bob Ross would have wanted people to give to in his name? And instead of buying Bob Ross products, since it goes to the crooks, according to these folks,
Yeah, we need to look this up.
we could do something in Bob Ross's honor.
There you go.
Is that out there?
Why don't you start that, Matt?
Well,
leave it
I'm
up to
sure.
you.
See, at this point in my
Leave it up
life,
to
Annie,
you.
I get to the point where I have an idea, and then I get pretty sure that it ain't possible for me to have had the idea first.
I don't know, Matt. I don't know.
Confidence.
That's terrible, isn't it?
Bill, I feel like if we need some help, we'll just call Dolph.
Dolph
Dolph can get it done.
Dadgummit. Oh, listen, I got somebody, you know, the new Marvel Avengers thing that's going on now, and Thor is the big deal?
Yes.
Somebody put on Facebook, if the Avengers were in the 90s,
Dolph.
And they put all these 90s people on it,
Okay.
Dolph Lundgren would have been Thor.
Agree.
They sent it to me a while ago.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Papa
They
Smurf.
ripped off Bob Ross.
And we're Papa Smurf in Oxford.
Smurf Blue.
Smurf Blue.
You heard it here first. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. there's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi. And that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy, better buy, better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
And worldwide, online at thezone, 1059.com.
All right, back with you here in the studio, and we're about to make an official change on live radio and on the live stream for everyone to witness. The homecoming queen is here. Squirrel texted the show and said, I didn't know there were Bob Ross products you could still buy. Well, I got that can of Bob Ross Positive Energy Drink. I went to that store here in Tupelo, Annie, with Mary Liddy, Five Below.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a little dollar store almost, where everything in there is $5 or less.
That every kid loves.
Kids love it. I mean, all kinds of candy and like
Mary Liddy can take in like $10 and comes out and she's like
a
yes.
bag full of stuff.
She thinks she's a millionaire.
We were walking in there one day and I looked, and on the shelf there's a can of Bob Ross. I'm like, I gotta have that. It was like $3.
Yeah.
So I had to have it as a.
Now you need to put it away.
Well, we have learned that people that watch the Bob Ross documentary, that these kinds of products were peddled after his partners and a family member apparently ripped him off. They gained the rights to all of his likeness, and
that is terrible.
It is terrible. And so I'm going to make an official change. Now, I got to look around here and see what I have that we can right now live on the show. And for the people watching on the live stream, they're going to see it. To replace that can.
Well,
so the can of Bob Ross Positive Energy Drink is about to be out of here.
Okay.
And
you've got a lot of bulldogs.
I got 2 cowbells up there. Cowbell might be a good choice.
Your
right
helmet?
Now.
Your helmet?
Yeah, the helmet, but I'd have to rearrange a little bit down here.
Yeah, well, get a cowbell.
Well, cowbell?
Sorry.
Who was that?
That was the cat.
Which one?
Al.
Big Al over there. What's he doing?
Oh, I don't know.
He's on my desk.
He's trying to help you pick something out, Matt. Just do it.
Now he's licking the camera lens.
Matt.
Yeah, Big Al's going to have to get off that desk. Okay. All right, I'm going to pick it out here. You'll have to do commentary.
Okay, so Matt says goodbye to the Bob Ross can, and he's going for...
I'm going to go with the Junction Bell cowbell.
A cowbell, Junction Bell. There you go. That looks good.
How's that look?
Yeah, looks great.
There we go. We got a cowbell, old rusty Junction Bell cowbell sitting there.
There you go.
Next to my Dale Murphy figurine that Brandon Walker left me before he left to go to New York to work for Barstool.
This is riveting.
All right.
All right.
So that's done.
Okay.
We've removed it. Now I'm going to open the can of Bob Ross energy drink and drink it for you live on the air. No, I'm kidding.
And how long have you had that?
Yeah, exactly.
How long is
We
it?
haven't been to that Five Below store in, pre-COVID, Matt.
I don't know if this has a date on
That's
it.
pre-COVID.
I don't see a date.
It's old.
I mean, it's like,
You're not to drink it.
it's really, really old.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, don't get sick.
Let's see,
We don't
there's
have
something
time
on
for
the-
that.
Something about California on the top of it.
Just put it away.
Yeah, all kinds of, but there's no date on here.
That's a bad sign to begin
Yeah,
with.
that's
Well, you were made in California, weren't you, Bill?
No. I was born in Eupora, Mississippi.
Okay.
There
Born
you
in
go.
Eupora.
He's a Mississippi boy.
Spent time in California. That's it.
Yeah, spent time in California.
Okay, so I looked back in the blue uniforms, and I know you want to change the subject to something else, but the baseball team's blue is
Okay. We got
It's
a text about that.
it's a pretty comparable.
Flowwood Reb texted us and said the baseball team calls it Italy blue.
Oh.
So
Well, maybe Ole Miss calls it Italy blue. No?
yeah, maybe so.
Maybe you should tell Chris. It's already got a name.
Chris, it's Italy blue, according to Flowwood Reb. That's what we're talking about there.
Well.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Goodbye, Blind Squirrel Sports, who watches every day on YouTube on the live stream, said goodbye, Bob.
See ya.
He's off to the.
See ya.
Our can of Bob Ross energy drink is off to the land of happy little trees and.
Yeah, little clouds.
It's ironic though, Blind Squirrel Sports saying that because Bob Ross had a pet squirrel that he talked about on a bunch of the episodes.
What?
Yes, Bob Ross.
I wasn't as regular a viewer as you.
Yeah.
Apparently, I mean, I would just if I saw it, I'd watch it for a minute and then move on.
Yeah.
But you're an artist. People don't know that about you.
Not really an artist.
Yes, Matt. Should we put some of your artwork up?
No.
Matt is such an artist. He is so talented.
I prefer artiste, but hey, whatever you want to say.
Artiste.
I'm kidding. Okay. B-Dog 2 texted the show and he says, how bad would Louisiana Tech beat Louisville? See, this is what happens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
State struggled with La Tech. Ole Miss didn't struggle with Louisville.
So the only thing everybody wants to know
is Louisville that bad? Yeah. And that's why Ole Miss looked good. You know, B-Dog 2, I don't know. Here's what I think. After watching them, I do think it would be a competitive game. And I'm pretty sure that Louisiana Tech has more of a clue on offense than Louisville does. But it was the first game for everybody, and lots of teams can look a lot different in week 2 and 3 than they can in week 1. So give me a few weeks before we decide that, right? And I know that's...
Nobody was at home. Don't you think that makes a difference when you go to Atlanta?
Look.
You and I have discussed this.
Monday night.
I think there's always a home team advantage sometimes.
Well, but there wasn't really last night, I didn't think, because they did not have a big crowd for that game.
I told you why.
Well, it's Monday night in
Labor
Atlanta.
Day Monday.
Labor Day Monday night in Atlanta. I mean, people aren't going to that.
Come on, let's do Sunday. Let's do a Sunday night.
Let me see what they announced the attendance in that Ole Miss game. And it was in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. You know, 2 nights earlier you had Alabama versus Miami in there, right? Isn't that where they played?
That's what you said. I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure that's where they played.
Yeah, they played there.
That's where they did. Okay. Bill has confirmed it.
I have confirmed.
So they announced a crowd last night. Book it. They announced a crowd last night of 30,709, which would be actually pretty respectable. It's just that that's a dome that seats 100, right?
Yeah.
See, here I go. Here I go, rabbit hole. Here I go. Mercedes-Benz.
Oh, Matt.
Dome.
30,000?
The Alabama game was
capacity.
Was the first time they've ever opened the stadium up at the top of
the they opened the roof.
College game. They opened the roof during the college game for the first time.
It seats 71,000 in there, and you had 30,000. That's about right.
Yeah.
Because about a little more than half of it was empty. But again, if you'd play that game on a Saturday, you got 60,000 people in there. Most of them Ole Miss fans. But, you know, you can't blame them for not going over there on Labor Day, I don't guess.
That's bad timing.
Mm-hmm. You know, and I was asking somebody earlier, course, I watched the first half, but was it me or was Kirk Herbstreit and his broadcast partner just a little laid back for the whole thing last night?
Well, maybe that's why I fell asleep.
It was just
Of course, we did turn them down a pretty good bit.
Yeah.
If you watch football
true.
with Matt, you should know he's not going to be listening to whoever's calling the game 9 out of 10 times, unless it's somebody that he really likes, which is hard to find.
Number one, Brian
And-
Greasy. I want to hear Brian Greasy.
And he will personally give you your own color commentary.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, you
Am
don't
I
like
right?
it sometimes. I'll tell you what's going to happen.
You're always right. I'll admit that.
you
I'll
know-
give you that. You call it out before most people say it, and I think, wait a minute.
I can't tell you the number of times when we're watching a
Penalties.
game.
You'll do penalties quicker than anybody I've ever seen in my life.
And I'll say it, and then they'll say it on TV, and she goes, I can't tell you how many times she goes, you just said that.
No.
Yeah, and then I have a tendency every now and then, I'm watching a game, you'll hear me say, that ain't what happened, you idiot. He didn't do.
Pretty much. That's. You know, we need to
Get
come
into
up. I'll come up with a top 10 list of the things you say when watching football with Matt. And that is at the top of the list.
You idiot. He didn't, that is not right. No, he didn't.
That was said last night.
What game are you watching? You know, I talk to the announcers a lot of
And
times.
then I know that you've already discussed the targeting stuff, but Bill, he lost it last night on the targeting stuff.
Bet he did.
Oh.
I sort of lost it.
Well, he lost it on the air today, too.
Well,
a little bit.
Well, he lost it during the game. This is ridiculous. What was the guy? I forgot the player. I can't even remember the player. And then what is the other guy that got thrown out?
Well, both teams had 2 players thrown out, right? I think it was 2 for each team.
Was it 2?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean.
Yeah, you lost it.
Let's see. It
was pretty bad.
They might as well play flag football.
Penalties.
Yeah.
Not hit anybody at all.
Ole Miss. Let's see. Okay.
This is terrible that we don't know this.
All right. Personal foul, targeting. But I don't see the name of the player.
That's bad. I should have not brought it
Mark
up.
Robinson.
There you go.
And then Lakia Henry. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So those were the 2 for Ole Miss. The first one, Mark Robinson. Robinson, I guess, be the first one, is the one that, you know, the play that he made, you can't throw people out of a game for what he did. You just can't do it.
And I felt terrible for him. I think he was crying.
Well, I mean, you think about it.
I'm telling you, I think he cried. It broke my heart.
You go through spring, you go through all that lifting and running, and then all the two-a-days practices.
And he's a starter.
And you're in the second quarter of the first game of the year, and they chunk you out. And that's the mentality of a player that I have reminded people over the years, is you have to understand, any competitive player with his head right, if you say to him, hey, you're due some punishment, you can choose to either run until you die or you can miss the ball game.
He's going to run.
He's going to run because that's how bad it hurts to not get to play. I mean, it's the whole point of everything is to play. You know, I mean, and then they say you can't. So I don't like it. That wraps up hour number 2 for the Homecoming Queen, for Bill. If you leave us, I hope you'll have a good night. If not, I hope you'll stick around. Hour 3 coming up.
Another load of smart pills has been distributed, and I'm slap worn out. So I'll just say, so long, neighbors. Get me out of here, person.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding
whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Davini Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
Beachbody, and I just sent a free membership to another customer, and I'm giving away 10,000 free memberships a week to anyone who texts me right now to try our new Beachbody On Demand fitness and nutrition app. Just text the word JOIN to 303030 to get instant access to all $8,000 of our best-selling fitness programs like 21 Day Fix, Insanity, P90X, T25, and PIO. These programs really work, and this
is WRKS Pickens Jackson. Live
in the studio.
Live and local. This is the Matt Wyatt Show. Talking about sports from around the world and right here at home. Streaming to you at the Zone 1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
Hi, let's go. Hour number 3 of the show. Off and running hour 3 presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Anything residential in and around Starkville. You're moving up there, making it a permanent thing? Well, hit them up there. They'll get you started on the home searching, buying process. But maybe it's temporary. Maybe it's a condo. You come into town for ball games or leasing an apartment if you're a student. Anything like that in Starkville, that's where you want to go. Overstreetproperties.com. You can find the contact info right there. Nothing like starting off the hour with a compliment. Old Tackle on the YouTube live stream says, for the first time I turned off the ESPN announcers for the state game and listened to you and Neil. I'll never watch a state game on TV any other way again. I really do appreciate that, Old Tackle. We got a pretty good group of dudes calling games, and what I'm most proud of is nobody cares about themselves on the broadcast. We're there to call the game, every single one of us. And so I think it's a pretty good deal. Appreciate you tuning in. It's also a pretty good deal around here on 105.9 The Zone. And I learned on Twitter that Chris Brooks from Mississippi Gridiron and the Gridiron Show with he and Beaver, he actually went to the ball game. He was one of the 30,000 people at the ball game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta yesterday. He's on the phone right now, on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment, Madison and Jackson. Chris, don't I have that right? Didn't you go?
You do. I did. I don't know if it was 30,000 or not. That might be stretching it a little bit, but I was there.
Yeah. Well, I just looked up the capacity in there, and it said the capacity was 71,000. And the announced crowd, or, the info and the stats said a little over 30. And I figured, that's probably about right. You think it was maybe a little less than half full? You think, it's ballpark.
My honest opinion, it was I would think 20s, somewhere in the 20s.
Yeah, close.
But there weren't many people there, and I would guess Ole Miss fans probably outnumbered Louisville. I don't know, maybe 3-1.
How about that?
Something like that. But there weren't. Like I sent a friend of mine a picture early in that game, and just different world we're living in right now. It certainly weren't a lot of people.
Well, it certainly is, and the fact that Labor Day. Labor Day night, Monday night, everybody's going to school the next day, so I think it's understandable. And Ole Miss just handled the ball game. And Chris, I thought you nailed it. Not that you need my approval for your analysis, but when you said on your show, Ole Miss's defense is better. And probably it kind of looked like Louisville's offense isn't. And that's why Ole Miss was able to dominate the game the way they did. Isn't that the way it looked?
There were. Yeah, and I do need your approval, Matt. That makes me feel better. Okay, I'm a little insecure, and coming from you, I feel a little better about my opinion now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you and Neil do a great job too. Also, by the way, before I answer the question, that's a fact. You and Neil do a great job.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's how these early games are. You're kind of guessing because you don't know who's good yet. And you see the scores, and you're trying to guess, but you can kind of look out there and see, hey, what looks different than last year. And, early in that game, there's no doubt defensively, Ole Miss personnel-wise, they look better. Okay, players look better. At the same time, I can look at the other side of the football and say, those players don't look good. And Louisville, that was not a great team.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no doubt. I think defensively, I had heard that from a few people around practices in Oxford that they expected their defense would. They thought they were cautiously optimistic it was going to be significantly better, and that meant they thought they could get that to the middle of the pack of the SEC, which if they can do that, that would be a vast improvement.
Yeah, because the offense is just, I mean, Matt Corral just has such a command of that RPO offense, just manipulates the defense so much. I mean, you know, he's not perfect. Every now and then they miss, but, you know, just seeing windows. Hey, Chris, who let the dogs out? I have to ask you that already.
Look, if anybody is planning on ever walking up at this house okay, unannounced, watch out.
That's
Because
great.
I have one dog in particular does not like people. Okay? He's not having it.
That's
the
great.
UPS guy going by.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, and you work with one person who also doesn't like people, and that's Beaver. You know? So
He has been told that before.
That's great. No, what I was saying is, I mean, so, you know, the offense kind of is what it is because Corral he has such a command of what they're doing, and you couldn't. Well, and let me phrase it in a question, Chris. Did you come away from that game going, all right, the Ole Miss offense is as good as they were a year ago, or they're better than they were a year ago?
Well, okay. So last year, I thought that was probably one of the 5 best offenses in the country, for sure statistically. But you know how that is. That doesn't always tell the whole story. But they were good. They didn't look like they skipped a beat from last year to this. You know what they lost in Elijah Moore, which was a big time premier guy, and you saw what he did last year. Whatever they lost there, they gained in numbers. You know, there's more. And, and somehow we got into this conversation earlier on my show with Will Rogers and Matt Corral and comparing some people there. But people forget, as good as Corral is, and he's supremely talented, he has pieces around him. The offensive line is almost back intact. And then they have wide receivers. If not one Elijah Moore, there's 3 or 4 solid guys there. They really didn't have to use Plumlee that much and really didn't have to do much with Ely. So then there's several running backs they can use. So, no, offensively, they're legit. That's now we're working on year number 2 where the offense looks like that. The defense, still some question marks. They look better, but offensively, they can play with just about anybody.
Yeah. Chris Brooks from the Gridiron on your radio right now. So Annabeth was here earlier on the show, and, my wife, and she's a big Ole Miss fan. And we watched the first half together last night. And she's a big fan of the quote-unquote powder blue, but she's not a fan of what she says is not powder blue. And she says that what they're wearing now is Smurf blue. What say you?
Yeah, I was told that, and I'm concerned now because we devoted a significant part of my show to the fact that the color needs to be named.
Yeah.
You can't just go with powder blue.
Hey, I was cracking up at you as you would talk through it. You would talk through it, and your home base that you would come back and touch and say, you would repeat it over and over, is you'd go, I just think we need to give it a name. It's got to have a name.
Yeah, it's got to have a name. You can't do the thing most people do. Like, you can't go Carolina blue or UCLA blue. You can't go Ole Miss blue because they already have a blue. But now the fact that she probably nailed this, I'm concerned Smurf blue is going to catch on. I don't like that.
Well,
because that's pretty good. That's what it is.
It's pretty much what it is. She told me to put a picture of the uniform next to Papa Smurf and tweet it out. And then I thought, well, people will see that as taking the shot, and I don't need to do that. But, Chris, okay. So I mentioned to you the Bob Ross positive energy drink, can of energy drink that I had in here. We brought it up in the previous hour of the show. People start tweeting me and texting me that there's a Bob Ross documentary on Netflix, and what they said was he had some business partners and a strange family member who basically stole all of his name, image, and likeness rights from him, and it'll make he said watching that will make you not ever want to have another piece of Bob Ross product again because they stole it from him. And so I removed it from the studio. It's no longer a part of my studio, and I replaced it with a cowbell. So I take back everything I said about Bob Ross blue.
Well, look, no, you nailed it there too. That's the blue.
It is the same color. I mean, it really is.
Same color.
Well, the uniforms are a thing. Last night was like watching a color rush. The only thing that wasn't a rush was watching the Louisville offense. I tell you, man, the thing about them is, they're a team that you could look up next week and they could go off on offense. When you see these teams that week 1 are sporadic, you just never know what you're going to see week 2. So I don't know what to think of Louisville going forward. Do you?
I think they're well coached, and I have a good friend that's on that staff. I think they are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was having this conversation with somebody a while ago. I think they have some personnel problems.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't fixed that yet, and you can look out there and see that they were outmatched from a talent perspective. So I think they're going to be well coached, at the end of the year. So from that aspect, Ole Miss can feel better defensively about what they're doing. But look, I think Ole Miss's defense, they're better. They are, and it couldn't get worse because they've been so bad. So they were about due. But no, personnel-wise, they looked better. And if they can just come close to what they did last night, they're going to be tough for a lot of people to handle just because of what they can do on the offense side.
I feel pretty confident that Louisville offense you saw last night would have scored 2, maybe 3 touchdowns on last year's Ole Miss defense in the first half. That's how I felt about it.
I agree. And it's funny. Somebody told me earlier, like, well, that team is terrible. I'm like, yeah, I know. I saw terrible teams the last several years put up a lot of points on Ole Miss. Okay,
right.
And the fact that they were able to do what they should have done against an offense like that is a huge improvement for them.
Well, and Ole Miss defense was physical now. Yeah, I mean, they hit. And on that note, Chris, how do you feel about targeting this morning? How are you feeling about that?
Oh my gosh. Hey, your tweet was perfect. Well, I mean, your tweet was perfect, and I gave it a name. We need to start calling this incidental targeting.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever it happens, if we have to do it, when it's just unlucky and the helmet's hit, if we have to call that, we can't throw those kids out of a game.
Right.
Step off 15. That's fine if we have to do it, but we've got to figure out a way to stop kicking everybody out.
I agree with that. Okay, and is this? And shoot me straight. Is this going too far to say? All right, I understand they did away with the incidental face mask deal. Okay, so now every face mask is 15 yards.
Right.
But we're not kicking people out of the game for an egregious face mask. Grabbing a face mask and a guy gets his head spun around sideways while he's running full speed. But we're not throwing people out of the game for that. Is that not the same kind of danger that you're saying these supposed head-on-head contact? I guess none of it lines up to me, the logic behind when somebody's making a form tackle on a running back 2 yards from where the ball has been snapped and I'm a linebacker. I'm not intentionally trying to do anything, but yes, maybe our helmets connect. You're going to throw me out of the game for that? None of that makes any sense.
Yeah, and it's like one of the hits last night. I mean, it's not a situation where these two people are squared up. It's one that's kind of coming at it from the sides. They don't necessarily see each other until the last second. It happens. Mm-hmm. I understand the thought process. It's too punitive. You can't lose, hypothetically, your best defensive player for a whole game over what basically amounts to an accident. It's too much.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you with that. Chris, how in the world did you get back quick enough last night or this morning to be on the air today?
Yeah, I'm smart, okay? I say smart. Well, I texted Beaver. I've gotten really good, let's see, out of how to handle dumb decisions, okay? So I don't go too far with it. I mean, I ditched at the half. As soon as the half hit, I tore out of there so I wouldn't get home and drive literally all night. Yeah. Got home about 2:30. Still not the best idea I've had, but I needed some photos, needed some artwork, and the last minute decided to do it.
Yeah. Well, you sound a little tired.
So it's kind of funny you mentioned I was actually laying in the bed when you called. And Matt, there's not many people I'd get out of the bed for to talk to, but you are one of them.
So okay. So let me get the full picture here. It's Tuesday. All right. At 2 p.m., you're laying in the bed. Phone rings. You get out of bed. You're on the phone. You walk out in the yard, and the dogs start barking at somebody while you're doing an interview. That's the full picture I'm getting.
Well, I like to be honest anyway. I mean, I slept 3 hours last night. I'm laying in the bed, and then Bill calls, and I'm thinking, well, do I lay in the bed? Can they tell him in the bed? Do I have to sit up? Can you tell somebody's laying down doing an interview? So then I actually got out of the bed, not enough to go handle my dog that's acting a fool out there, but I literally got out of the bed to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, and I am going to say this too, Chris, and it's more for your reaction than it is for a response. I'm just saying, I've been called a homer a lot of times, and I kind of am. I admit it. I'm a state guy. Yeah. But I will admit that if Mississippi State had a good team, suppose like a really good top 25 type team with a Heisman candidate quarterback, and we're playing a game in Atlanta on Monday night, Labor Day, I probably would drive over there for that too. I'm just saying.
It's worth doing. I mean, it's worth doing it.
Because you don't know if that's happening again.
You don't know. And plus it's the Chick-fil-A game. It's the Peach Bowl. I mean, I got 5 free chicken sandwiches out of it, during the game. I mean, there's
Wait a minute. 5 free chicken sandwiches?
Oh, yeah. There were chicken sandwiches everywhere. So I had a couple pregame, then one at the half, and then a couple on the way out the door. I mean, so I took advantage of that.
You picked up a couple to go and left at halftime. That's the best thing I've ever heard.
I may have stashed 2 in the bag on the way out the door.
You are a cheap skate. You didn't even want to go through Chick-fil-A. But we're going.
I know. It's like I told Beaver, it's like these were special chicken sandwiches. It's like they've been skimping on us on the regular stores because these were twice as large.
Is that right? These big, thick ones, huh?
So these were thick. These actually covered the whole bun.
I thought the tweet from Ole Miss football was great. It had the score of the game, and it said, "Winner, winner, Chick-fil-A dinner." I thought, now that's a good tweet.
It's not bad. I'm just fingers crossed that this whole Smurf Blue thing doesn't catch on. I don't get that.
5 free chicken sandwiches, 2 in the pregame, 1 at halftime. Leave and then 2 for the ride home.
So I come in for the half, I'm eating one real quick, and that wasn't enough. 2 minutes later, I grabbed 2 more out the door.
Chris, my senior year of college, last football game I was ever part of in college was in the Peach Bowl of my senior year in 99. We beat Clemson in the Peach Bowl that year, okay? And it was the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl at the end of the 99 season. And one of the things we got as players, you get all these bowl gifts, right? It could be, shoes and hats and this and that and stuff. All watches and backpacks. The year before, in the Cotton Bowl, we all got a PlayStation. Back then that was a big deal.
Yeah.
But one of the things we got for the Chick-fil-A Bowl was a stack of cards wrapped in a rubber band, and each one of these little business card type things is for a free Chick-fil-A sandwich at any Chick-fil-A. Okay? Now, think about this. You got 100 football players on both teams getting a stack of cards. I mean, I bet there was 25 of them, and each one is a free. Well, when this game was over, this was December 29th or 30th of 1999. Me and my friends and some of us, we had a trip planned up to Gatlinburg, Tennessee to go skiing. Okay, snow skiing. I'd never been before.
Okay.
We drive all the way up there, and we get there, and we start pulling into where we're staying at the top of this little mountain, and at the base of the mountain where the driveway is, I'm not kidding you, there's a Chick-fil-A sitting right there.
Like it was meant to be.
And Chris, you ate 5 in one night. I ate about 7 every day until those cards ran out.
I've heard of good gifts at these bowl games before, the PlayStations, the video games, but a stack of the free Chick-fil-A cards, that's gold. That's about as good as it gets.
Isn't that good? And
that's
see,
good.
That was 99. That was ancient. I mean, we're talking, we're going with 20 years ago, going on 25 years ago. There's no telling what they get now.
Yeah, that's right up there with like a stack of, they used to give out McAllister's, these real little cookie cards for free cookies. That's right up there with that.
It sounds like you took advantage of free cookies at McAllister's cards at one point in your life.
We did have a deal at Mississippi College when I was at the SID.
Yeah.
And then they did a lot with athletics, and it may or may not have been part of the deal that I basically had an unlimited stack of those free cookies.
May or may not. That's all.
It may or may not.
We've confirmed it. In other words,
yeah.
Good old MC Chris. I've never told you this, but growing up in North Alabama, And we didn't go to football games at Alabama or Auburn. We just went hunting and fishing every fall Saturday. But every now and then on Saturday nights, we drive from Russellville about 30 miles north to watch UNA take on Mississippi College. And you're talking back in the 80s, 90s. It was a huge rivalry back then.
Yes, it was.
Two really big programs. They don't even play each other anymore, I don't guess.
No, not with UNA going up and doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I just wanted to talk to you. Welcome back. I know that it was a whirlwind of 24 hours, but I just knew you were in the stadium, and I wanted to talk to somebody who was there. Had no idea that it involved all those chicken sandwiches, but I'm glad to find that out.
I had a good time. The crowd was not huge, but still, it had more of a college football feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can't wait to get on a real campus, like what's going on with State and Starkville, and when Ole Miss has a home game in Oxford. It'll be good to get back to that.
I tell you, buddy, in all seriousness, seeing it at Starkville this past weekend, I'm not a big tailgate guy. I appreciate that everybody does. I don't do it myself, but I admire seeing it and all the, people on campus. And seeing it in person again, it was sort of cathartic, and I didn't realize I missed it so much. But beautiful day. It's hot as all get out, but just people running around all over the place, tailgating, playing cornhole, and smoke rising, and people eating, and just so glad that it's back. And I really mean that genuinely. And so glad you made it back and are back on the air. Thanks, Chris. Good to talk to you, man.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I'll talk to you later.
All right, see you. Chris Brooks from the Gridiron. You can catch him 10 to noon weekdays here on 105.9 The Zone. He went to the game in Atlanta for Ole Miss, and I think he's right. I mean, their defense is better. I mean, you could just see it last night. Now, Louisville, they struggled, and they got a ways to go on offense, but I kind of felt like, last year's Ole Miss defense would have given up some points earlier in that ball game. Last night, Ole Miss's defense was very physical, very aggressive, jumping in some man-to-man, playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage and wrapping up when they got there. They looked a little better to me. Rolling along, hour 3. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt. Just answer the questions. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. Cspire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy, better buy, better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute.
State radio analyst. And he's on your radio
right now.
You got the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
Back with you, rolling along, hour number 3 of the show. Continuing on this Tuesday. Thanks to everybody who's gotten in here and been a part of the show. Hello, Sharon, over on Facebook. She gave me a howdy. Howdy to you. Tip of the cap. Thanks for tuning in. You can text me on the Country Pleasing text line at 885-ESPN or 885-3776. Or you can call me on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer, the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S. 995-1059. That's a Davini Equipment phone line, 995-1059. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Matt.
Today is a very special birthday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. On this day in 1979, ESPN, the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network, made its debut on cable television. ESPN, first time they ever went blip and turned on, was on this day, September the 7th, 1979. Check this out. Bill, I went back and found what it sounded like the first time they came on the air.
Uh-oh.
It's the most 1979 thing you ever heard in your life. Here it is.
If you're a fan, what you'll see in the next minutes, hours, and days to follow may convince you you've gone to sports heaven. Beyond that blue horizon is a limitless world of sports, and right now you're standing on the edge of tomorrow. Sports, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with ESPN, the Total Sports Cable Network.
Total sports and entertainment, we're the one worth watching. Come alive without a doubt, you'll see the best, we'll work it out. With total sports and entertainment, everything worth seeing. Total sports entertainment.
Total Sports Entertainment. Sing along, everyone.
ESPN, everything worth seeing.
Yea, verily, a sampler of wonders. Hi, I'm Lee Leonard, welcoming you to Bristol, Connecticut, 110 miles from New York City. Why Bristol? Because here in Bristol is where all the sports action is as of right now.
What?
Oh, yeah.
What, did you hear that guy?
If they could only say the same thing today, we're the ones worth watching.
Yeah, exactly, because they're not.
No.
Hey, Bill.
Or listening.
Did you hear when he came back from that song, he goes, yea, verily, a sample of wonders. Is he quoting something?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, who talks like that?
Nobody.
Yea, verily, a sample of wonders. Someone like, it's the first time they've ever been on air.
Yeah, walk through the shadow.
I'm talking.
Maybe it's quoting the Bible or something.
It's like the first time they've ever come on the air and somebody dared him to say that and work it into his broadcast.
So I wonder who were all the announcers then?
Back then in the first. Well, I'm pretty sure Chris Berman was one of the firsts.
Yeah, I think he was, yeah.
Anyway, ESPN popped out there for the first time. We're the ones worth watching. Wow. Yea, verily, a sample of wonders. That's what we get on our phone line every day, is a sample of wonders. Example A. Right now on the Davini Equipment phone line, Louvier hanging on. What's up, Louvier?
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen and Ghost Saints. Thank you for including me in the sample of wonders. That did bring me back. I don't know if I was watching the when they clicked it on, but I do remember the argument with my father, who should have been the father in the Wonder Years, as conservative as he was, being born in the 30s in the Depression era, that we're not paying for television. And so we finally got cable television. Now my dad, still alive at 85, he's got the most elaborate television system in the world. I mean, he can actually yell at his television and it changes the channel or whatever. Yeah, but that's not why I called. For goodness sake, go Saints. I am so ecstatic that the professional football is about to take place. But this weekend, let me tell you, Ole Miss looked really good. That kid has a real arm. He fires that ball in there. Ed Ogeron looks confused about why they're behind in points. Hey, Ed, it's because your defense doesn't tackle and your offense doesn't block. Other than that, everything's fine. And then here's what I really wanted to talk about, because you were there and you watched. Up by 17, Louisiana Tech had the ball fourth down on the 1 yard line. Coach, you have got to go for it. You have got to score a touchdown. The risk reward is astronomical. The risk is minimized by the fact that if you don't get it, they've got the ball on the 1 yard line.
On the one.
A safety is, and a safety is now in play, and that's only 1 point less than the field goal that you took to go up by 20. If you score the touchdown, in effect, the game is really over. You're up by 23 points, and if you really came to Starkville to win the game, you're up by 24. And that's what I would have done. I would have gone for the touchdown, and I would have gone for two. Did you come here to win or to not lose? And so Louisiana Tech's coach needs to be smacked in the face. I appreciate the effort, and look, both of my kids graduated from Mississippi State. I've got a lot of Mississippi State gear. I'm not down in Mississippi State. They played terrible. They played that. Number 7 was a stud. Number 2 was really good in the fourth quarter. The defense, they just looked confused. You got to go for the touchdown, Louisiana Tech's coach. Whoever you are. Oh, I know who you are. You're the son of Lou Holtz. You should know better. See, my son's trying to break into coaching, but his dad's not a coach, and the nepotism is getting it. Gosh, dog it. Win the game, coach. Score the touchdown, and you win. Other than that, we're talking on the radio about how Mississippi State came back and how great that was. You know what? That wasn't a great comeback. That was a failure of Holtz. Holtz, if you're listening to this show, and you should be, the best show on the radio.
Thank you.
You lost the game. You showed up to not lose, and you did. You didn't show up to win, and you didn't. Go Saints.
Olivier, Dad.
How does he really feel?
How do you really feel about it, Olivier? And I was looking it up, trying to figure out at what point in the game and what I could find. Okay, fourth quarter. I'm looking at the play chart here, and I don't actually have the whole context, but it looks like, so they kicked the field goal from 33 yards, okay, at the Mississippi State 15 on 4th and 3. Okay, but then I'm trying to find that goal line situation. And I guess that would go back to the third quarter. That's what that is. That would go back to the third quarter. Okay, yeah, I get what he's saying. The only thing I would argue about it, Olivier, is, the field goal put them up by 20. You said it. They're up 17-zip. The field goal puts them up by 20. It's late in the game. Paired with the fact that State's offense hadn't been able to do squat for 2 solid quarters. In the second and third quarters to combine, I mentioned this yesterday, Olivier, State's offense never ran in those 2 quarters 4 consecutive plays without a penalty or a turnover. That's how bad it was. And so I'm sure they were thinking, okay, the field goal puts us up by 3 touchdowns, not just 3 scores. See, if you go for it on that goal line, like you're saying, 4th and 1, and I can't even hardly disagree. All I'm doing really is presenting the devil's advocate and what they're thinking, given the way the game had been going, is they're thinking we're up 17. If we go for it right here and don't make it, they do get the ball. They do have to go the length of the field, but we're only up 2 touchdowns and a field goal, and that's a lot easier for them to make up than 3 touchdowns. Does that make sense? So the field goal puts you up by 20, not 3 touchdowns and 3 extra points. No, 3 touchdowns and 2 extra points. Yeah, 20-point margin. But they can't beat you in the remaining of the game with just, or tie you with just 2 touchdowns. It's going to take 3 of those just by kicking the field goal. So, yeah, you're saying risk-reward. It was a percentages thing on their part. I would argue with you the bigger head-scratcher than that was the fact that even after State cut it down to 2 scores in the fourth quarter, La Tech kept throwing the football. Just kept throwing it. In a game where you've got the lead in the fourth quarter, you ought to look up and have run the ball a lot in the second half. Well, they didn't. And, of course, they only ran it for 100 yards the entire ball game, but at least running it and even not making yards is going to put State against the clock even more. La Tech really helped them by throwing the ball some, especially throwing it incomplete. Now, the calls got them open, and the quarterback just missed some throws in the fourth quarter. So, blame goes around to several. Good call, Olivier. Y'all stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me.
Davini Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are
knocking them out of the park for great sports talk. I'm talking way back. It's the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone.
Back with you. Speaking of knocking it out of the park, on this day in 1993, in the nightcap of a doubleheader in Cincinnati, St. Louis Cardinals outfielder Mark Whitten hit 4 home runs in one game.
2-0 pitch to Whitten. That is a smash into left center field, way back, and a grand slam. Mark Whitten, it's 4-0 St. Louis.
Whitten is 1 for 2. And he corks it into right center. That ball back of the track might go. He has hit another home run. And it is 8-2. And he has driven in 7 of the runs.
Oh, into right field. Did he do it again? At the wall. Gone. A 3-run homer for Whitten. And the Cincinnati fans love it. What a night. Runner at first, 1 out, 2-0 to Whitten. Into center field. Did he? Yes! His 4th home run of the game. He has 12 RBIs. 15-2. Unbelievable. A grand slam, 2 3-run home runs, and a 2-run shot. Unbelievable.
Bill, so whoever was announcing that threw in the Sports Center, da-na-nut.
Yeah, it was going to be on the highlights.
Because they knew it was going to be on the highlights, and that's what a big deal that was. I noticed high school bands and some college bands are still playing that. The bands in the stands at football games will play da-na-na. And that stuff, it's old, but it doesn't even mean half of what it used to mean. Getting your highlights on ESPN. The other thing that jumped out at me, Bill, during that highlights, we just did the Sports Center debut in 1979 on this day. Well, see, that's 1993, right? So you're only talking about 14 years to the day. On this day, now he was 14 years to the day that ESPN even began. And 14 years later, it was a huge deal. They'd even reference getting your highlights on SportsCenter during the ball game. That's how fast ESPN grew. pretty interesting how that all happened here on One Thing. Let's jump into Wayback Machine together, shall we, Bill?
Why not?
Why not? That's my whole philosophy. Put that on my tombstone. Why not? Okay. It all happened on one day. A couple of acts, a couple of songs on American Bandstand on this day back in 1974. We'll start with Bloodstone performing That's Not How It Goes. What a name, Miller. Bill, was this a big hit?
No, sir.
No. I think I can tell why.
They did have a big hit, though.
What's that?
Well, I'd have to look at it. I remember what it was. I
Okay.
had it up a little earlier looking at it.
Well, that's fine. Bloodstone is the name of the band. The song was That's Not How It Goes here on American Bandstand on this day, 74.
Yep. But no, that wasn't a big one. I'll find a big one for you.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I don't want you to have to go. And so the same episode of American Bandstand that same day in 1974, it was Dave Loggins.
No, this was a big hit.
With a song called Please Come to Boston. And it sort of rings a bell.
Please come to Boston for the springtime.
Yeah, even Jake's over here boogieing to that one.
Staying here with some friends and they've got lots of room.
So he knows it.
Yeah, by the way, the Bloodstone was called Natural High. That was the
Okay.
Yeah, this is a big hit for Dave Loggins. Are you kidding me?
Where I hope to be working soon.
Now, and his voice sounds really familiar. Oh, yeah.
Boston, she said no.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
You come home to me. And she said, hey, Ramblin' boy, now won't you settle down? Boston ain't your kind of town. There ain't no gold and there ain't nobody like me.
Oh, yeah. Now I know it.
I'm the #1 fan of the man from
Tennessee, yes.
Yeah,
all right.
See, now
Good
you
stuff.
remember it, don't
Now I remembered it. Yeah, that's a great song. I mean, it was almost like it almost kind of had a crossover sound to it. There was a little country in there, maybe, sort of. You know, it sounded like something that like a Glenn Campbell. It sounds like something like a Glenn Campbell would sing.
It's around that
also.
same type of story.
Yeah. While you look that other one up, Bill, I was going to point something out. Y'all may not have heard that. I'm going to see if I can get this to play. I got to.
I found it, by the way.
Oh, you found it?
It's called Natural High. You're probably going to remember it when you hear it. And this is Bloodstone also.
Bloodstone. What a name. Takes a minute. Yeah, I've heard this. Sure. Yeah, I've heard this. I wonder what time frame that is, Bill.
You know, none of the stuff has any dates on it.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that's probably late 70s or later.
Yeah, it was like late 70s, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good while after that first one we just heard.
That's good.
This was actually a hit.
The Dave Loggins song, it's got me wanting to go look it up. Please come to Boston. That's a great one. So there you go. A little ride down memory lane over here in the Wayback Machine with Captain Bill. That's always fun to do. No,
Captain and Bill instead of the Captain and Tennille.
Instead of Captain and Tennille, Captain and Bill. I had a reference in a broadcast the other day of the ball game to an Elton John song, because on a kickoff, linebacker Rodney Gross from Mississippi State and linebacker Jet Johnson came flying down the field and made a tackle. And Bill, I was really proud of myself because I said Rodney and the Jet.
Rodney and the Jet.
Instead of
I had a feeling that was coming.
instead of Vinny and the Jet, it was Rodney and the Jet. It only would have been better if the other guy's name was Benny. No, I want to see if I can play this for you. Hopefully the audio comes through. This just popped up. This is Deion Sanders, Jackson State head football coach, Deion Sanders, following their win over FAMU on Sunday down in Miami. And he's at the press conference at the table. He gets one of his players to stand up to show the back of his jersey. Listen to him talking here. See what you think about that.
Babies, I call them babies because they mine. Turn around, Auburn. Just stand up and turn around. He got his darn name on the back of his jersey. You can turn back around. Why we don't do that in the SWAC? Is it that expensive to put the darn name on the back of the jerseys? Don't you think his mama and them want to see their baby name on the back of the jerseys? Don't you think his siblings, his friends, his family, his loved ones? That's the kind of stuff we take for granted. I don't. I'm very detailed. That guy worked his butt off, did what he had to do, changed his whole composite of his thought process. We can at least put his darn name on the back of his jersey. How simple is that? What is that, an extra $5 a jersey? I'd take care for the whole SWAC if they do it. Constance will help. Well, you already out there. You already blessed the whole team with suits. It's my business manager who makes it happen for me and him. But those are the type of things. We're very detailed. We're very detailed with the little things. And our kids deserve that, don't they? Hey.
What do you think about that?
I think he's right.
Look, he is right. And I do know that in the past there's been some coaches for different reasons. It could be, a motivational thing here and there. And I understand not every situation is exactly the same. But, Bill, I agree with you. I agree with him that especially in the SWAC, when, what he's trying to do is sort of change the image overall or make some steps towards sort of, what's the word? Sort of revamping the entire image, and not just at Jackson State, but of the whole league. And he's saying, they put their names on the back of the jersey. Because, look, what he said is true. Whether we think it's ought to be this way or not, I can only speak really from my own experience, but it is. There's a pun here, but it's a tremendous pat on the back to you as a player to know that your last name is on the back of that jersey. And it not just represents you, but it represents mom and dad. And they're going to see it. It's a very, seems like a little thing on the outside looking in, but when it's your name, it's important. Now, some might look at it and go, well, look, you win a ball game 7-6, the offense doesn't perform. That's not the kind of thing you ought to have on your mind or talk about in a post game. You got to worry about blocking and tackling and get to where you can have a functioning offense. And maybe they will, but I don't know. I don't know why it came up. I just saw the clip. But I do think in a nutshell, it's not like we're talking about an SEC or a Pac-12 team saying, well, we're not going to put the names on there. We want to make them earn it and playing for the name on the front of the jersey. That's a little different maybe. I don't know. I kind of agree. You're trying to raise the profile of the league as a whole. Little things like that can have an effect possibly. Hey, and Ready Teddy brings up a really interesting point in the world of name, image, and likeness. The name being on the jersey is a huge deal. Louvier says that Coach Prime is detailed about the wrong little things. Pre-snap penalties are little things too. I'm sure he knows that, but I think overall I agree with that idea. Been a fun show, Bill. I appreciate you as always.
You too, sir.
And we'll see you tomorrow for everybody. Same time, same place. See you then.
Another load of smart pills has been distributed, and I'm slap worn out. So I'll just say, so long, neighbors. Get me out of here, person.
Hey, guys, do you think
Another
you
load of
are
smart
low
pills?
testosterone? Now is the